Impeachment is for Democrats what heroin is for addicts. Editors note the opinions in this article are the authors, as published by our content partner, and do not necessarily represent the views of MSN or Microsoft. Symptoms of impeachment addiction include a strong desire to impeach somebody, increased tolerance of convoluted impeachment theories, failure to fulfill obligations to family members who don't share your addiction, difficulty reducing one's obsession with impeachment news, and withdrawal symptoms when impeachment-related news take a rare breather. Addiction withdrawal. 1. Even if you like Democrats nationwide desperately want to impeach who, preferably President Trump, but impeaching anyone would also be good, although not as cathartic. Impeaching Supreme. Serious talk of impeaching Trump began 7 months before his election. That's not a typo. According to About, somebody should remember these predictions the next time they advertise these pundits, editorialists, and constitutional scholars as political experts. On the morning of November 9, 2016, when Trump wasn't even awake yet after his 2 a.m. victory speech, and Hillary had yet to make large-scale Chardonnay purchases, Democrats were already angrily demanding impeachment. The reported post that Trump literally hadn't done anything at that point mattered not at all. Addiction is not a. If Lichtman ever made a public mea culpa about being spectacularly wrong, I have not found it. Instead, that same day, David Brooks at the New York Times, now known for anti-Semitism and like a junkie who started with an occasional hit and kept telling himself he could quit anytime he wanted, Democrats started building the case for impeachment. What did Trump act? Emoluments weren't explicitly mentioned in a Vanity Fair, but 5 Democratic senators announced a bill they plan to release next month that would require Trump to divest assets. The legislation would. Then came January 2017, and the Christopher Steele dossier. This was the next. We now know the names of the people at those intelligence agencies: James Clapper, John Brennan, James Comey, Sally Yates, Bruce Orr. We now know that Fusion GPS was bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton. We now know that he hasn't been to Russia in a quarter of a century, and all his contacts were worthless. 2 years later, neither the news organizations nor the intelligence agencies have been able to ascertain any of it. Get ready for the pièce. Of course, they weren't prevented from speculating. They'd been speculating. The Washington Post reassured its impeachment-addicted readers on Inauguration Day. Impeachment-addicted. The sheer absurdity of these scenarios didn't stop their proponents from passionately promoting them. The small matter of the daily drumbeat went on. Here is a from February. Democratic congresspersons such as began serious discussions of impeachment in early February 2017. The tireless in but, their hands shaking, Democrats were already previewing their talking points. It's not just Trump. And why stop with? Democratic senators were not far behind. Their customers had. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months, and the months turned into a year, and virtually any day, an impeachment junkie could find a fresh discussion of impeachment somewhere. And then the addicts. Even before Kavanaugh was confirmed to the Supreme Court, the addicts could not contain themselves. Thundered the nation, nor did it matter that only a few Democratic polls could actually discern any alleged perjury. Impeachment was this. Withdrawal symptoms typically begin a few hours after the drug was last taken. Common costs. Democrats were on a roller coaster of drug-fueled ups and downs, and quitting narcotics without professional help, especially after long-term use, can be hard. So it was back to. The Mueller report was like a bucket of cold water poured onto a twitching addict, but only for a moment. If Trump can't be in their less lucid moments, they even admit that they want to impeach Trump solely for the sake of impeachment. Many Americans have difficulty wrapping their heads around the notion of obstructing an investigation into a crime that never happened, and which wasn't actually obstructed in any way, but not Democrats. In their less lucid, the ever-quotable Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had so many reasons to impeach Trump, she couldn't even remember them all. For her, one-time Labor Secretary Robert Reich, A heroin addict, this nutty idea bubbled up and out of the addiction abyss as soon as the Mueller report became public. Leading journalistic, so here we are, in May 2019. Impeachment has been